Welcome to another episode of Behind the Now. Today I get to chat with talent manager and producer Tal Weinstein. Tal is the CEO and an artist manager at Taller Management. Before opening up her own management and production company, Tal worked at UTA and LA Talent. She's also a former top-level dancer, so she understands the work it takes as an artist. Tal is a true go-getter, determined and innovative. Tune in to learn more about what it takes to start your own business, as well as the ins and outs of the artist and management side of entertainment. Tal, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So, Tal, you are a talent manager. You've started your own company now. But tell me a little bit about your background of becoming where you are now.
Yes, I started my own management company about a year ago. It's me and my business partner, Erin Kinzer. We met at UTA, actually. I was in the agency world for quite some time now, or was quite some time. And we met there, and I think that we shared a kinship of like, we were very much tired of working for someone else and also not being as creative as we could be. And we decided then and there to start our own management company. She gave the idea first, and she said, why don't we just do this on our own?
Yeah.
And actually, 2 months later, like we were doing it, and then COVID hit, and we didn't really mean for the company to start during COVID, but in the pandemic. But it was actually quite a blessing because it gave us time to focus on the structure. It gave us time to focus on the foundation. But I'm going to go a little bit further back and give you a little bit about like the history of me. I came from an artist. I was an artist myself, so I came from the artist side of things. And I was a contemporary dancer for many, many years. I started dancing when I was 4. And I was in performing arts my entire life. So having started dancing when I was 4, then I went and I auditioned for a middle school in LA called Millikan Middle School. I got into the performing arts side of things, and then I had to audition for my high school where I majored in dance. I went to LACHSA, which stands for Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, and I did 3 years there. I came in as a sophomore. I was at another school beforehand that was also performing arts, and I took a year off. Juilliard was my dream, and I didn't get in. And I worked very, very hard at getting in to the point where it was very unhealthy, how much physical strain that I put on my body was insane. And I didn't get into Juilliard, and I was destroyed. And but alongside that, I got into school in London, and I was like, I took a year off. I couldn't anymore. Like having that one dream and one goal that I've been wanting to do ever since I was really little, being kind of like destroyed, and not become a reality. Really, really. Yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, you're 18 years old, hormones, like you're a teenager. This is the one goal that you wanted to do, and it's not happening. Luckily, I was smart enough to defer my acceptance to the school in London. So I was like, guys, I'm not coming this year. And they're like, no worries. Like, come next year. We'll put you. I was like, great, and I didn't know what I was doing really at 18, but I was in Israel for a bit. I decided to do a workshop with like one of the dance companies there called Batsheva.
Yes, I know Batsheva.
Yeah. Like they're incredible. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. And then realized that I didn't want to do that either. I was like, this isn't like, after having danced with the company and like doing workshop, I was like, this is not my style.
Okay.
And I went back to LA, and I got a job as a waitress, found my first boyfriend in love at the time, tried pot, weed, like all that great stuff, and like actually lived, because like I was so for so long I was like, training like at an athlete level, like,
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't in school, then I was at my ballet teacher's house, training and doing, but like for that year I felt like I was actually like exploring and meeting people
Mm-hmm.
and like going with different crowds, and not the artsy crowd, but like more so like people that are just dealing with day-to-day stuff and
Mm-hmm.
have aspirations of being a banker or like something different other than outside
Yeah.
the arts. And and that was great, and I found my first love and it was awesome, and like, trying different stuff. And after like like half a year, 8 months, I was more so like, okay, cool, like I need to go back to school. Like I had that own pressure for myself, like
Mm-hmm.
I never had outside pressure at all. And I was like, cool, might as well like go to the school that accepted me, which is in London. My mom was like, what do you mean you're going to school in London? And I was like, yeah, the school like accepted me. I wasn't gonna go and audition again, you know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't gonna go and start over. I thought it made more sense to go,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was at the time. I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go, right? But like when I say this to someone, they're like, you actually went to a different country to go stay on your own, and you act like it wasn't that big of a deal. And I was like, yeah, it wasn't a big deal because it
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
to
great
me.
though. It's a great
It didn't
experience.
really it didn't hit me though until like I got there,
Mm-hmm.
and then my mom was helping me settle in, and then I knew that like in a week's time she's gonna leave and I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna be like on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like a little bit scared. Like I was it was like scary and exciting at the same time. But it ended up being, the most greatest adventure I've ever had in my life. Just because I became an adult there.
Mm-hmm.
I went there when I was 19 years old and came back to LA to live when I was 27. So I was there for like 7 years, and I got my bachelor's in a school called Trinity Laban. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Laban School for Contemporary Dance, and they're in Greenwich, and it's a beautiful campus, and it's gorgeous. And I got to meet a lot of people from all over the world, and from the U.S. to Italy to Croatia to places that I would
Mm-hmm.
never have imagined going. If I would have gone to a school like Juilliard, of course there would be, people that weren't from the U.S., but
Mm-hmm.
like, going to a different country, especially in Europe, you're most prone to meet people like that aren't,
Yeah,
aren't
definitely.
from the States. I was one out of two people that were from the U.S. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I graduated in 3 years just because the program was 3 years long, and then I got so I ended up not even missing. Ended up graduating with my class. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I was like, cool, taking a
Oh,
year off
cool.
wasn't a
Yeah.
big deal at all. Yeah, and then I got in a postgraduate program, which is a postgraduate company
Mm-hmm.
in Leeds. I was one out of 12 dancers that got accepted into the program.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
basically, what it is, it's like nurturing you to go out into the real world and be like, we're going to bring in professional choreographers to come and to create a dance on the 12 of you, and then you're going to tour it in the UK and Europe,
Wow.
and then like from there you'll be ready to go off and venture out and dance with a few dance companies. And that was a great year of growth and living. It's 2.5 hours from London, so it's just up north. And after that, I danced for a year with a few other dance companies. I went to Wales and lived there for about 3 months and did a project there with a company called Earthball.
Mm.
And then I was dancing for like 6 months with a company called Secret Cinema, and they're an immersive theater company, and they
Mm-hmm.
recreate dance and theater. They recreate movies, so like Back to the
Okay. Okay.
Future and my God, like Star Wars and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
they like
As
build out sets, and then
choreography.
you're a performer
Mm.
there,
That
right?
sounds really
So
cool. Yeah.
I was doing Back to the Future with them, and I was doing that for a while, and it was like I was living the life. It was like I was earning money. I was like
Mm-hmm.
23, I was like meeting other people, and we were going out drinking, and it was like, and I was in England, like, and I was like thriving.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. And after, so once that chapter ended of me like dancing, with a few dance companies, I was actively auditioning and looking for the next thing. And I did a workshop in Spain, and then I went and did a few auditions around Germany. And I was literally going off, even though I was auditioning and doing workshops, like I was like going on trains like around Germany. Like I would stop at Leipzig and Dresden, and God, Worms is another one, and like I would just go to these towns and do auditions and like meet friends along the way. And I can't even believe that I actually did that on my own, because like, when I think about it now, I'm like, this 24-year-old was just like going around Germany and being like, hi guys, like it's me, like I'm here. Like someone else would be like, girl, you're gonna be taken, like stop being so friendly.
Yeah.
I would have random coffees with like, people I would meet on trains and be like, yeah, I'm here, you wanna grab a coffee? Like, girl, you're gonna be taken. Like I'm surprised that like
yeah.
Thank God, I very much could hold my own, but like, it's also like, as looking at it from my parents' side, like it's worrying. Like, what is your daughter doing?
Yeah,
I'm
like, sure your parents are amazing
bubbly.
To like let to
yeah.
like give you that freedom.
Yeah. But after that, like it was 3 months, and it was awesome, like an awesome time. But I decided to. I really sat myself down and I was like, cool, this isn't happening. I'm not getting a job. Like, it's nothing to do with me. Maybe it is. I have no idea. But I need another hat. I need to do something. And my brother at the time, said that to me, and he was the one who pushed me. But also I was very angry with him, because he was like, Tal, you're banging on doors. Nothing is opening. You need to do something else. And I was like, for someone to say that after training so hard for all your life to do go one route, he was like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, I came to London, I pursued my dream, I'm going to make it. Like, I'm going to be in a dance company and touring, and like, that's what I'm going to do for years and years. And he was basically just saying, like, you should go a different route to try to make your luck happen and change. And after thinking about it, for like a week and not speaking to him, I was like, cool, I think he's right, and I decided to pursue producing. And I didn't know what that meant, but I started applying for internships with dance and theater companies.
Okay.
And and a dance company took me on, and he was like, cool, you're going to be a project manager. You're going to learn everything that I do, and like, you're going to come on and like be behind the scenes and like see how you like it and whatever. And I was like, cool. I loved it. And from that, it led to full circle. I was still in touch with one of the choreographers that I worked with when I was in my postgraduate company, and we had such a great relationship, and I looked up to him, and I always kept in touch. And I offered, I was like, look, I'm going to the US. You have an amazing show. Let me try to sell it for you. Let me try to get you booked in the US.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just tried everything.
Yeah,
I was literally
it's
like,
so smart. It's very
cool,
innovative.
This is an opportunity.
To like think that.
This is an opportunity. Yeah. And he loved the idea, and after having done that for him for a little bit, and coming back with like some answers and results, and like seeing like seeing the results that I came back with led to his tour manager at the time. We had a meeting, and she was like, look, I'm leaving, I'm pregnant, and I think that you should apply to be the tour manager for this company. And that was my big break. I toured with them for 3 years. I got the job. It was a critically acclaimed theater show called Paradise Lost. And, we toured all over the U.S. Not the U.S., sorry, the U.K. and Europe. And I literally was in charge of, like, it was me and a production manager, and we were on the road and, like, in a, like, minivan. And, like, then, we would go from rural areas in the UK and, drive go on a ferry all the way to Calais, which is like the border, and like drive to Holland or Germany or France. Like we were just touring all over, and it was amazing. I learned a lot, and the beautiful part about that company was that they really had faith in me. They were like, "Oh, Tal, yeah, like you give her one thing and she can do it." Like that's their mentality, and they let me do more than just tour managing. Like I was assisting the producer. I learned how to rig lights and do the role of a production manager, do the role as a sound engineer, and like really like do the lighting cues and the sound cues, and like it was sometimes me and the performer on the road, and the production manager wasn't there, so I had my production manager hat, and they really I blossomed with them, and I owe a lot to my first break and the experience with that to Ben Duke and his company. That's the choreographer and the performer. Cool. And so I was doing that for 3 years, and alongside that I was the dance world over there is very small, so that when I started doing that and working with him, and he was very well known, and he is very well known in the dance community, people started reaching out to me to become an assistant producer. And like a producer. So I was freelancing. So I was working on like 3 different productions at the same time, and which led for me to work as like a producer for a choreographer called Sivan Rubinstein, and we were both like 2 Israeli, like 1 producer, 1 choreographer working together in the UK, and we booked a few shows together. I tour managed it for her. I looked for rehearsal space. Like one of the shows that she produced had like 75 kilograms of salt, which I don't know what that is in pounds. I don't know what that is, but like
I'm not sure either.
Why are you wasting all this money buying salt when you can have a salt sponsor? So I got her a salt sponsor, and I was like trying different
smart.
things.
Yeah.
I just tried different things. Yeah. I was like, I always had that like, I don't know what it is of like
the hustle, grittiness, resourcefulness. It sounds like like you could just figure things out, and you sound very innovative. Like you can like think outside of like what's been done,
I try. I mean, like, thank you. Like, it's very, like, I'm flattered, but, like, I don't even think of myself like that. I just, like, I'm in a situation, and I care so much that I'm like, how could we make it better? Like, how could we do better? And like, what could we do collectively in order for us all to succeed? And, that was, I think, like, I ended my career there in the UK just because, like, I felt like like the bombing started happening in the UK. I missed home. Like there was that big one in London Bridge, and I was like, my house was like 15 minutes away from there.
Oh my god.
And like I was like, going back to personal life, like the UK guys, the English guys, like just I was not connecting to. They're too cold for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get married one day. Like it's not happening.
Yeah.
And then like my parents, I'm like, I missed 7 years, even though I had an adventure of my own, but like I missed 7 years. I missed my brother, I missed my family, I missed everyone, and I really, really wanted to go back to the roots. And like I was like, I'm in entertainment, and there's so much I got so far in the UK, and I saw like where I could end up. And I was like, that's great, but I think I could aim higher if I'm going back to LA and being in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where the world of entertainment is. This is the core. And I went back, and I lined myself up with a job at a production company for a production company. I was like, wait, what production company is it? It's called T. Okay. And they're an Israeli production company, and they work with artists from Israel in order to bring them here. And I'm talking about like the biggest names in Israel, like they're working with, like Idan Reichel.
Yes, I love Idan Reichel. I went to see him live.
I think they were gonna do something with Omer Adam, like them, like Adag Nachash, like I saw a tour happen with them. I met Idan Reichel, like it was like it was a great 3 months of kind of like being with them. but I thought I was going to go into the role and like be wearing, I told them what I wanted. I wanted to be in the tour manager role. I wanted this route for me that I had experience in the UK. And they put me on the marketing front, and I'm like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Okay. You know, I could bring in people to do Google Analytics and do all that stuff, but like for me to wear a marketing hat when I've
like you knew you have all this experience and you knew like, exactly what you wanted to do. Yeah.
Huh. So, you know, it came as a blessing where he let me go because he was like, I don't have enough money to pay you. And I was like, that's cool. And I was taking job interviews at the time. I like 2 days later, I had a job. I was at LA Talent working at a commercial agency.
Amazing.
My mentor at the time, Ashley Partington, she's now at E3. She's still my mentor and a great friend. She taught me everything I knew about commercials. She came in and was like, listen, I know you don't have experience with this, but I know like you seem like from all your background, like you're savvy, you can do it. I'm firing everyone. It's going to be you and me. And I'm like, all right. Because she came in from Abrams. Like she came in and like literally was like, I've taken over the department. Everyone's going to go and it's going to be you and me. And I'm like, cool.
Why was she firing? Like what was the situation there that she was like kicking everyone out and changing it?
It was bad. It was like new energy. One guy was out the door anyways. Like he wasn't gonna stay on, and then the other girl also put in her 2 weeks notice. Like,
so it just kind of like organically was there. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, Tal, it's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, which was the best, you know, for me, like the background, you know, like that I had and have coming into that particular situation was like the best because, you know, I'm not like an assistant that just came out of college that needs like to do the phones and like learn the basics. I'm like, throw me into the deep end. Like I will sink or swim and I'll probably swim and I want to be challenged. And she came in, we were having like, there were nights where I would stay and we would go over jobs, we would go over rates. She would quiz me. I literally printed out like squares of all of our clients and then I'd be like, you know, this name and like this is Andy Cohen, this is, you know, whatever, and like I would name them and she would quiz me and I just made it a point to show her that I was here like and ready to go and I really wanted the responsibility and more in pitching and like working on breakdowns and like for her to have trust in me, and she pushed me to my limits, like to the point where, you know, we cried together, we laughed together, but I owe her, you know, who I am and the people I've met because of her, like in LA. And that, you know, although like looking back at it now, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have left like LA Talent, but I was tempted with an opportunity to work at UTA, and it's like UTA is one of the big three.
Right.
And you're like, I want to swim with the sharks. I want to play with the big boys. I want to see what that world is. Like I would have been regretting that I hadn't went that route if you know what I mean, if I turned it down.
Yeah.
And one of my the casting directors that I knew at the time, you know, invited me over. We were great friends and he invited me over and we were still great friends. He's the best. But like he invited me over for drinks and like then there was an agent there from UTA at the time and we got to talking and he's like, I'm at UTA. He's like, what are you doing at LA Talent? Like you should come play like to the big boys and the big leagues. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. And he put in a word and I got in.
Amazing. That's really
to work
cool.
there.
Yeah.
It was amazing, but
it was probably bittersweet. Like
the sad part was I didn't go into a desk. So a lot of people who, you know, apply for a specific position at UTA get put with a specific agent and go that route.
Yeah.
But all of the rest are like thrown into the mailroom.
Right.
Like
but,
they're like cool. Yeah. And like I was there at 28 years old, having like knowing my entire background and going in with people who just graduated college. I was like, my ego was shot. I was like, really, guys? Really? Like
so you started in the mailroom there.
With them? Like I was literally like baffled, and not to be egotistical. It was just like I was very much like I was sold on the fact that, you know, this is a place and this is what, and now I need to fight in order to get put on a desk, or else I'm going to be in the mailroom for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? Like everyone described it as the Hunger Games, and I was like,
Oh.
I don't got time for Hunger Games right now.
Yeah.
Like I fought enough,
Yes. Yeah. I totally understand
And
that.
I was in the mailroom for a week, and
Mm-hmm.
I got put on a desk. I made it a point. I fought. I was like, no way. I was even watching, like, the worst part was, like, there were several people who interviewed for our particular desk already that, like, had zero experience that were on a desk, and I was still fighting for a desk, and I was like, oh, great, guys.
Oh, gosh.
Good job. Good job,
It's
HR.
also, how many people are in the mailroom, like, at any, like, about? It's, like, a lot, no?
We had like 36 people.
Yeah, okay. And
then they're like, cool, there's like 10 desks, and you're like,
yeah. Okay, good. So you were there for a week, and then you got put on a desk.
I got put on a desk. I got put in the music department. I wanted to be in music. I knew that. I love music. I've always loved music. I'm very cultured in the sense of, like, I don't have one genre that I listen to. Yeah, very worldly. Probably people hate when someone says worldly, but I'm worldly.
No, I think it's true. I mean, you have an experience all over the world, you know.
Yeah. So, but I got put on an international desk. So with an international agent, she is actually from the UK and, like, came here, worked at CAA, and then worked at UTA, and was in the rock space. And then she booked tours in the UK, Europe, and Asia, and, like, and Australia. And I was like, oh my God, this is great, because, like, I already know the areas in the UK and Europe, and, like, it's perfect fit, and, like, I would be great. I'll just go into it. It was the hardest experience of my career working with the agent, just because I think that, to put it nicely, like, I had a horrible time working with them. I think that it was, like, everything that you see about, like, agents and the agency world and assistants, that it was true. Like, that's what came to life. And I was depressed for a little bit, and I was like, what am I doing? And, like, the pay that you would get in the agency world, like, is nothing. It's peanuts. And I'm like, why am I working like a slave and a dog and, like, getting paid peanuts?
Yeah. It's like you were an assistant, right, at this time?
Yeah, I was an assistant.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was an assistant at LA Talent as well, but, like,
but it was much,
because it was
so small. Like, I feel like you were doing so much there. It was very hands-on.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and then UTA is like those huge companies. I don't know, but I would imagine it's often like tedious small things that you're doing, like, a lot of. Is it like that?
I mean, it's like that, but it's more so like, I'm doing the work that the agent doesn't want to do. It's like me hiring an assistant and then telling them, like, hey, do my calendar, connect me to this call, do the Zoom things, and you're like, what am I learning? Having seen, like, two ways of working is, like, I think was one is the lesson, and, like, because I know what I don't want to be. I don't know how I don't want to be, how I, eventually when I do have the privilege of hiring an assistant, I want them to learn. Yeah. I want them to follow in my shadow. I want to mentor them. I want to help them become what they want to become. Like, if that's management, like, then I want to do everything in my capabilities in order to get them there.
That's not great. And people appreciate
put them down.
Yeah.
Look, and not to say, like, we had great moments, like, me and this agent, but I definitely feel like it came to the point at the end where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Because you felt like there's no growth happening. It's kind of like you're just showing up and doing it, and it's like, and you have so much, like, you sound like you're so tremendously creative and, like, original and innovative, and it's just like you're not getting the opportunity to do that. So that makes sense,
right?
You know? Yeah.
Spot on. It was definitely that, and I think, but like it was a blessing. Like, UTA gave me, I got so many contacts out of it. Like, that's the positives. I met so many great friends.
Amazing.
I had now, it led me to meet my business partner, Aaron. like through that, it led me to my boyfriend and like my partner now, like who I met at a Colby O'Donis like show. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think that I was there for a specific reason, and I did it, and
Yeah.
I left at the perfect timing, and I left at the perfect timing as well because like COVID.
Yeah.
And I was not an asset to that agency that they would be like, oh my God, we need to keep Tal. Like, no one cared about me. Like, it's okay, but I'm thankful like for the journey because it led me to my company, it led me to like my partner, it led me to my business partner, and I had to go through the hardship in order to see that the universe was pushing me to my goal. Like, in a short snippet, like I'm not even going to touch on it because it wasn't even a significant moment, but after UTA, I had another job offer and I went to go work for 2 days at a management company, and the guy ended up being such a jerk that I like quit. And my dad sat me down and was like, the universe is telling you that you don't need to be working for anyone else anymore. Like, you need to start your own thing. And my dad is my rock, and he's the one that I literally go for every single business advice to, because he's definitely the type of person that he did the American dream, and like back in the 80s when he came here and he built a business and then like made the business very successful, and like came here with like, that story of like he came here with $100 in his pocket and then like, became very successful. Like he's the one that I turn to when I need business advice, and for him having saying that, and me letting me take the chance and a risk on myself, a risk, a chance, an opportunity, and to believe in myself, and he believed in me, like definitely gave me the extra push, being like, okay, I'm doing this, hey, I'm gonna find the time and grow this business to be what I see it becoming, and see myself becoming. And we're now a team of 4. We have, God, I probably said this already, but I'm gonna say it again.
No,
we have 4 musicians, 1 YouTuber who we produced an entire YouTube series for. We have 2 writers, writer-director, and we're looking, 2 actors as well. And we're looking for always looking for more artists and people to work with. And during COVID, we worked with City of Hope and produced 2 live streams. We raised over $10K for them, which was really, really great. We had Jackie Cruz as the host for one of them, and then Dea headlining and Devin Baldwin co-headlining, and we're working on our 3rd series right now. And just trying to think about something else, other things that we could be working on in order to grow our business and gain more partnerships. And we're working on a pilot, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
That's
so
fun.
Were the pilots with the actors?
No, it's actually someone that we're working with right now that keeps us with an idea, and then we're trying to, put on the producer hat and being hey, we'll pair you up with a few writers and seeing where that goes.
Awesome.
So alongside that, we're opening up Taller Productions, which is all the services that don't have to do with management. So it's PR, graphic design, video content, social media content, whatever it is, or productions, whatever it may be that falls under that, those type of services. That's what we offer to people that aren't just our clients, but people from outside, of being hey, we're also Taller Productions. We do these great things, and we could help you and work together.
Yeah,
so we're
really
definitely
amazing.
building.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much valuable stuff that you've said. If you unpack everything you've said so far, even the fact of acknowledging that the universe was kind of leading you a certain way, and not trying to push, just taking that kind of second to be you know what, I'm gonna to take the risk to start your own company. I love that. It's amazing. And that happened before COVID, you said, right?
Yeah.
That's so weird. That's so weird.
I I put in my notice end of January, and then I
Yeah,
was
it's like
like,
just before. That's
it's
crazy. It's like the
it's
universe was
crazy.
like, get this together. It's gonna be needed. Like it'll be good. And then the whole world shuts down, and you have, and that's like that is so amazing.
Yeah, I was definitely fully immersed in this. I mean, of course, I'm always going to be immersed in this. It's my baby, and um, I, believe that it's gonna. I don't know which direction it's gonna go in, but I know that like if we keep tackling and like banging on doors or striving forward, like
Mm-hmm.
something is going to click.
Yeah.
Because like I know we're much bigger than just a management company, and or maybe I'm saying that and I'm like one of our artists is gonna pop off. It's definitely we made it a point to just try new things,
Yeah.
like there's no harm in trying right
Yes.
now. Like
There's really yeah. And there's really
there's
no way, like no right way to do any of this stuff, you know? Like
no
there's like what's been happening for years, but like so much has changed already. And then there's like just like the generic way to do things. But you sound just I keep saying you're so innovative, but you really seem like you are. Like I just love it. It seems like you're thinking of like, okay, this is how this would normally happen, but like what else can we do? You know, like what's a different way to go about that thing, which is so amazing as a manager, especially. Like I love that. So
thank
cool.
you
Yeah. So
thank you
switching a little bit, so you've kind of gone over your clientele so far, but say someone wants to. So based on your experience at LA Talent at UTA, what is stuff that makes you, or like what you've seen other agents too, but like makes someone want to work with someone?
mm-hmm.
I think it's a common
um
question, but I'm interested in what you want to have to say.
yeah, no, it's definitely a combination of things. I feel like there's a I feel like uh what is it
Is it
really?
something that you can't really describe because it's like an instinct, or can there
It's
be
an
like a
instinct,
pattern?
but like it's just the right. I think it's a lot about timing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of like it might be too late, and you're like, oh my god, I'm interested in them, and then they already have management. It's like that finding someone in the midpoint of
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my god, they've already done a lot of things for themselves, and like
Mm-hmm.
how can I insert myself into their career and
Yeah.
give them that extra push in order for them to get bigger or
Yeah.
to succeed more or to I don't know or I feel like it's the building of the team that like sometimes an artist needs in order for them to grow a level
Mm-hmm.
or to get bigger or to have more confidence.
Yeah.
That team that pushes them is like I have more confidence because I have people that are actually believing in me
Mm-hmm.
too. So I don't feel like there's like one. I mean, I don't really know my way. I've seen it done a lot of different ways. I think it's a lot about instinct as well. I think it's a lot about trust
Mm-hmm.
in one another because I could definitely try to work with someone and then they're like, well, I don't trust you. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you want.
Mm.
I don't want to do that because I don't think that your opinion is correct. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, then it's
you know what I
tough.
mean? Like
Yeah,
it's,
they have to. Yeah, there has to be like a certain chemistry, like just from the
yeah,
get go. Like, yeah,
exactly.
that makes
Um,
sense.
I I take a lot of meetings. Like I take a lot of meetings with clients that have approached me and my business partner Aaron, and I have and like the door is always open. I feel like it's just we love taking meetings. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we've had like already 3 this week of just looking and pursuing new clients and new
Yeah.
talent. And I think that there has to be like a synergy there. I think there has to be a line of like, we want to work with you, you want to work with us. How can we work together? What do we see for ourselves? The goals that we do, the goals that we set, and yeah, I sometimes there's a that sometimes there are sometimes there are times too many times where I get clients from agents. I get
Mm-hmm.
clients from other artists. I get clients from friends. Like it's it comes in weird ways. We do we've done like already 2 things with women in music. One was like not a podcast, but a Q&A with them, and we got a lot of like fun like artists and people that were wanting to be managers like come in and like saying like, hey, would love to chat, would love to learn about you guys. Like that is my absolute favorite, just because we can give back. And we had a mentoring thing with women in music, where we like went into rooms on Zoom and like mentored someone for like 15 minutes.
That's so cool.
We got like a few other artists reach out to us afterwards, and had a few great meetings, and like it was very fun. It was very cool, and I love the most, just because like I feel like Erin and I have reached out so much this year on our own to get mentors, and I was like, finally we're giving back. We're giving back to others that want to learn more, and the doors open for them.
Yeah. And then what advice do you have someone, so not the artist, but someone who wants to go into talent management? Like exactly what you're doing. Like where do you start? And like maybe getting out of the assistant kind of role too.
Yeah, I mean, where do you start? I mean, it all depends. I think that, if a corporation is where you want to be at, I think it's just taking it with a pinch of salt and knowing that you're going to have to put in a lot of time in order to climb the ladder, and being patient with it. And that's okay. Like, everyone has their own path. And, like, if that's the path that they want to go to, one of the big threes is such a great environment, because it's a big company and you meet so many people.
Yeah. And there's, like, so many departments, too. Like, I know people will, like, start somewhere and kind of realize they're more passionate about another department. And because they're at such a huge company and that already exists, they can experiment. Like, they can get a position in that department, which is cool. Yeah.
I think that's one way. I think that if you're like, I want to be more hands-on and I want to climb the ladder quickly, but I don't want to do it on my own, I think looking for the boutique places like that are very, very small and like a mom and pop type of shop is the way to go. It's like finding, and it's finding, like, with that being said, like, even both places, it's just finding that one agent or talent manager or whatever it is that you're like, I connect with them, they treat me well, and I feel like I'm going to learn a lot from them. Like, they're going to take me under their wing, and they're going to teach me stuff. Because that's where you want to be. You want to be in an environment where you're learning, so that you know how to do their job.
Yeah,
like, that's the point, right? And you want someone that's going to, nurture you to have their job, or have a job like them, or, I think it's very much finding that type of place, of just having someone around you that, like, you can learn from.
Yeah.
And that is open to teach you. And, I think that, like, taking the step from an assistant to, a manager or an agent, I think it's a lot of showing initiative on your own, going and bringing clients to the table, going to, if it's like you're in commercials or stuff, like going to comedy shows, finding like new talent, bringing it to your manager and or agent and being like, hey, like, I found this guy, he's so cool, I've set up a meeting if you want it, and having them take all the credit for it, but like, you're doing that work of like, I'm showing you that I want this more than life itself, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go support clients, and I'm going to go to openings, and I'm going to try to get myself in front of so many people and know managers, agents, and whoever it is, and what is it? I think it's putting yourself forward and getting ahead with your agent, but with yourself, and building that community around you in order for you to get noticed. I think that's the point, going above and beyond, and that means like working like a beast.
Yeah.
Working like a beast.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because you have your whole background as a dancer, which is so hard, and which you like did so much and worked so hard. Just like shows you really have that understanding though of like the artist side, where you have like that passion and you're like trying everything, and I feel like you just get that too. And then you have to like go through deciding to let that go, like when your brother, made, which is really hard. It's really,
It
really
was
hard.
hard.
But
I don't even dance anymore. It's that
yeah, which
crazy.
is probably weird to, like, it's weird to think that, right?
It's weird. My boyfriend is just like fake news. Like, you were never a dancer. And I was like, I was dancing.
Yeah,
It
because
was a
you
pretty
did.
good one.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
but
good one.
but like all of that led you, like, gave you this experience and gave you like the passions and everything that kind of prepared you for this, and it's like really
Yeah.
true if you look at that. It really seems like that. Even having lived in different areas, like in Europe and in England, also just like the cultural, because now you're being exposed to, you have clients with all these different backgrounds and music tastes, and like you have all of that, you know so it's just really cool. I love hearing your, like, everything you're saying. It's just so beautiful. And also recognizing when something isn't, like, recognizing and like taking the risk if you're like not growing in a certain position, or like, like standing up for yourself. Like, it doesn't seem like you have stayed anywhere too long that you realize wasn't good for you, which is amazing,
Yeah.
because a lot of people would be like too scared to leave or to just quit.
No, I don't even know where that comes from. I have no idea, because like my brother is like the polar opposite.
Hmm.
He's like, he like wants to do something, and then 3 years later he does it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not happy. I'm gonna leave,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. Yeah, I think
It's
like
interesting.
it's a good thing, but it's also like, sometimes that's why my business partner is like so balances me, because we're like yin and yang. But like, I voice what I feel, and then
Yeah.
she's like, she doesn't freak out about it. She's just like, okay. She's like, why don't we just like talk it out, and then like
Yeah.
let's think about it for like a day or two, and then like decide if that's what we want to do. And I'm like, that is great for me, just because of like, sometimes like, you don't want to think irrationally, especially when you
Right.
have your own business, and like, you want to make sure that it is the right decision, that you are like, you have thought about it. Like, I'm don't get me wrong, like, every single decision that I made is like, was the right one, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I definitely sometimes I'm like, I think about a lot of different things, and I want to jump, and I need that like balance to be
Yeah,
like, no.
it's great. Like, it sounds like that's great though that Erin is, like, like, balances you in that way. Cause that's
Right.
great. Like, you're not anyone's gonna be like the perfect mix of that. Cause like
No.
it's a spectrum. Like, sometimes you take like too long. Cause I'm like I could like analyze something and like really like think about it before I decide to just do it. But there's also a huge value to just jumping and doing something before you have a chance to like overthink and not do it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good. It sounds like you've got all the pieces.
balance,
Like,
it's a balance.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a few random questions. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what is your most used emoji?
Oh my god. Oh my god. What do I do? Either it's like this one, the monkey,
Oh, the monkey.
or it's like it's this sign,
Okay, the thumbs
the
up.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
I think it's just the funniest, but I'm always just like, oh no, like I'm mostly like being transparent, and like I say something, and I'm like, don't kill me.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I often use, which, like, I'm wondering, does that say something? But that like weird crooked half smile, like the like.
Yeah.
I use
That's a
that a
good one
lot.
too.
And I don't know
I love
people, yeah, but I kind of wonder, it's one of those ones that people might have very different interpretations of, like, what it is.
Right.
It's like a hard thing to
Right.
explain, but
No,
it's like
I'm
that.
like, yeah, what are you actually thinking this means?
Okay, if you were a professional athlete, what sport would you play? So I know you have a whole background in
Ooh.
dance, but
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Oh my god. What would I play? Oh my god. I'd probably play tennis.
Oh.
Hands down.
Okay. And what is something that you do that helps you be the now?
What is something I do that helps me be the now? I think it's mostly, I think taking time for myself and is the most important. Yoga is great just because it lets me de-stress.
Yeah.
And get clear-minded. But I think the most that helps me be the now is definitely having conversations with my dad. not to be all cheesy about it, but I think that he helps me think outside the box and think about things that I'm not doing and things that, noticing things about the choices that I'm making for my business and life. Like, we had a chat yesterday about, like, you know, kids and, like, stuff like that, that, like, he shares his wisdom with, that I love. And I think that it's just, like, it really, really helps me kind of, like, find the clear direction that I want to go in, and noticing things that I could change. And he, in a weird way, he keeps me young, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, usually, like, he's the one who sends me, like, YouTube clips and, like, check this person out, you know? So he's very much, like, knows the trends, weirdly enough, even though he's, like, 60. But yeah, that's beautiful. He's the person that keeps me in the now.
Very cool. I love that. Tal, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Been so fun.